I am Liz Donatelli. Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance, the #1 romance novel talk show on YouTube. Author Mazey Eddings joined me to discuss her debut rom-com set in the world of dentistry, A Brush with Love. Mazey also chatted about writing a character living with generalized anxiety disorder, her journey from dental student to romance writer, dental hygiene in romance novels, and the first romance that stuck with her. And Mazey and I played 2 truths and 1 lie. Enjoy, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hi, Mazey. Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on here.
Congratulations on your debut rom-com, A Brush with Love.
Thank you. I am so excited. I've been flipping out for quite some time now. It feels like this is a weird analogy, but putting a very thought out nude into a public sphere to be viewed, and it's very vulnerable, very a piece of me, and then it's just out there for consumption. So it's a very bizarre feeling, but more than anything, I'm just so excited that the day is finally here.
The first question I have that I just had to ask right out of the gate is, why is your Twitter handle @FoxyGrandpa27?
Oh my God, I know. I constantly am I need to change it, but then I just can't get to it. It's not even a cool story or anything like that. Growing up, there was a SpongeBob episode where SpongeBob wore a hat that said world's foxiest grandpa, and little young me, that just stuck with so hard, and I thought that was the funniest thing in the world. And I just made it my Twitter handle. And then A Brush with Love is a rom-com, a contemporary rom-com about 2 dental students who trade fillings for feelings as they navigate the messy emotions of being an adult and not really being sure what that means, and kind of just all the messiness that comes with that. The main character, Harper, she has an anxiety disorder that goes untreated for for most of her life. It's been untreated, and so the book is really an exploration both of these 2 people falling in love despite their very differing goals in life, and learning to love each other very well, but also learning to love themselves and open themselves up to being loved by others. And so it was just a really cathartic and wonderful story to write. And the world of dentistry just really opens itself up for oral puns. So it was right there for the taking,
Where were you and what were you doing when the romance between Harper and Dan, your protagonists, first took root in your mind?
So I was actually in my first year of dental school, and I'm still in dental school. I'm graduating in May, and then I'm going to go on and practice and everything. But yeah, I started I sat down and actually started writing the book end of January, early February of 2019. The entire year leading up to that, I had been really anxious, really depressed, and I was really finding solace in reading romance novels. They were this huge balm for these really low points in my life, because there was this guaranteed happy ending, and you always saw the characters kind of coming out on top with that happiness. But I kind of wanted to see something that was a little more reflective of my world, and especially my experiences with mental illness and my struggles with it, and kind of showing that balance between you can struggle with and hurt with a mental illness, but still deserve and experience profound love. And then one day at school, I slipped down the stairs. We have this death trap staircase in my school, and it was awful. And somebody else, actually, one of my close friends, she slipped down it a couple days later too, and she broke her ankle. It was a whole thing. But it kind of gave me this idea of what about this really awful situation could become a cute meet disaster / meet cute. And Harper and Dan popped into my head, and they just would not shut up, and they just were demanding that their story be told. I was literally just the scribe for everything that they were telling me, and the story that they wanted me to tell. And so yeah, for about 6 months in that first year of dental school, and like the back of lecture halls, and like, at 2 a.m. when I was supposed to be cramming for an exam and stuff, I was writing their book.
Now, Harper has a relationship with her anxiety. Sometimes she allows it to call the shots. Other times she tells it you could take the afternoon off, which is kind of like having a partner. Which was more challenging for you to write? Harper's relationship with anxiety or her relationship with Dan?
Oh gosh, I think it was I think it was definitely writing the relationship with anxiety, because in a lot of ways, like um having anxiety and like that anxious voice, it's so hard to reason with. When you're talking with a partner, and like when you have like another autonomous being there, like compromise can happen, and like discussions can happen, and there's compassion and empathy and stuff like that. But when it's something like anxiety, where it's your own brain that's in a lot of ways like sabotaging your happiness or your comfort or your peace, there's not a lot of reasoning with it, and it tells you a lot of lies. So your anxious brain can be a really unreliable narrative a lot of the time, and so writing that it was really challenging, just like living with it can be really challenging, and I appreciated the challenge, because I think it allowed me to kind of connect with my own relationship with anxiety and look at it from like a unique or different perspective than like being very much like myopic with it and like very close to it. I kind of zoomed out a bit and saw like, oh, this is the way that it can be detrimental, or this is the way that you can like, overcome it and stuff. But yeah, I would say the anxiety portion was a lot harder.
Was there a particular anxiety to comedy ratio that you observed? Because there's so many passages that are so authentic and accurate about living with anxiety. Don't want to give the impression that it's not really funny, and there are moments of levity. So how did you balance that? Did you say, okay, well, I wrote 5 things about anxiety here, so I've got to throw in 2 really funny scenes?
I love that question. I think I went into it trying to be intentional with the idea that like a person that has the challenges of anxiety and mental illness can also have a very like can experience so much like happiness and laughter and like very exuberant joy and stuff. Like the two aren't mutually exclusive. They're often at odds with each other, but they can coexist. And in a lot of ways, Harper was just really funny, and like her friends are really funny. The way that she was speaking to me in my head and everything like that, like she was very voicey, and she just really lended herself to funny moments. When we talk about a mental illness, we often look at it as like that is the central facet of somebody's being. And like it was really nice to explore and be like, okay, this is an anxious person, but she's also a doctor, she's also a friend, like she also has all of these multifaceted characteristics that like make her a very nuanced human. So no, I didn't go into it with like an intentionality of like I need a 2-to-1 humor ratio. I was trying to do justice to the fact that like having anxiety does not strictly make you fundamentally flawed to the fact that you can't feel joy and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I love so much about your writing.
Oh, thank you.
I'd love to learn more about your journey from dentist to romance author. How did that happen?
How did it happen? Like, what a good question. Like, I don't even know. No, I have always loved the act of writing, but it was like never something I had enough confidence in myself to do. I had written like some short stories, but never finished a full-length novel. And again, it was like never something I thought I could do like as a career. And so through school and college and stuff like that, I took a very like science oriented track, and was just taking like literature courses when I could squeeze them into my schedule. And then honestly, it was like a very weird path, but I did end up pursuing dentistry, and there's like a lot of artistry in that and a lot of human interaction that I just like I loved being able to interact with people in that way. But by the time I got to dental school, I had very much like a quarter life crisis. I was like, is this what I want with my life? Like, I am so stressed. I am so anxious. Like, I'm so depressed. Like, what am I doing? And like I said, romance novels were a huge balm for me at the time. And I had really bad insomnia. So I was reading like almost a romance novel a night. And it was just so like, it was that huge like dopamine rush to get that happy ending. Um, but I really, really wanted to see a character with a brain like mine and emotions like mine. And I wasn't really finding that at the time. And so Barnes and Noble, I think it was Barnes and Noble, was doing like an IG or an Instagram, like ask us for a book rec thing. And I plugged in a book about dental school or dentist, and they messaged me and they were like, we can't think of one. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess there's like a very niche market that I could like dive into.
Yeah.
And so like I said, Harper and Dayton really popped into my head. And a little bit at first, I like almost didn't want to have Harper have this anxiety disorder. Like I was like, I don't want you to suffer, sweet baby. Like, let's not go there. But she was like, listen, this is who I am. Like, this is what I'm going through. And so it was so, it was like writing their story was the first thing that I ever leaned fully into, that I did just for myself and just for the joy of doing it. And it was the first novel I ever fully completed. And then I fell so in love with it that I was like, heck, let me try to like actually do something with this. And then so while in dental school, I queried with agents, and then was picked up, and then went on submission with editors and was eventually picked up too. And then now here we are, and the book's out, and I'm just like flipping.
You're a dentist. How realistic is it for a couple to wake up in the morning in a romance novel and kiss right away? Is that hygienic? Because let's face it, we all have bacteria. Nobody's immune from that. So is that hygienic to be kissing and like deep tongue kissing and like first thing in the morning? Do you recommend that as a dentist?
Oh my God, what an important question. Okay. So honestly, okay, here's the thing. And I my mind was blown when I learned this. You can actually so cavities and stuff are caused by a certain type of bacteria that get into your teeth, right? And you can transfer that to somebody else. And you see it a lot between like parents and babies, right? So like if like a baby like drops a toy or drops their spoon or something, and like a parent like licks it off to like clean it, I don't know, which is weird in and of itself, but I guess it happens because we learned about it. Like if you have a cavity as the parent, like you can transfer it to your kid. And so like technically speaking, anything's possible there. You're not going to do any damage by like making out first thing in the morning. And I support making out any time of day. So like if you're feeling it and you're like okay with morning breath, go for it. I personally am like a big fan of brushing and mouthwash in the morning, but that's just me, and I'm not here to pass judgment on anybody else. And so yeah, it won't harm you. It really just comes down to like whatever floats your boat.
Okay. I feel as if dental hygiene is neglected in romance novels.
I could not agree more. Like there's so many times when people just like get right down to business, and I'm like, you have not brushed yet. What are you doing? Like, get your priorities straight.
Yes. And honestly, the amount of baked goods and coffee that is consumed in romance novels, you're like, oh, like that's not always going to leave a good, after smell, aftertaste, it's like, and these people, a lot of the characters, have so much sugar. I'm like, oh, they have to have like some yuck mouth maybe going on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And
just a thought.
And no flossing, even if characters are brushing their teeth, where's the flossing? And that's what I want to know. Okay. I'm gonna like just tweak it a little bit and say the first romance novel that like stuck with me so hard. Devil in Winter by Lisa Kleypas. I am deeply, deeply obsessed with the hero in that book, Sebastian St. Vincent. Like I think about him probably once a day. And I read that so many years ago. Talk about just like tropey goodness. Like it's a marriage of convenience. It's a rake and wallflower pairing. And then Lisa Kleypas writes with like such a beautiful like sensuality and like sensory experience and stuff. And just like, oh my God. Oh, I could go on for hours about that one.
My childhood dentist was Dr. Chu. I've never had a cavity. I read my first romance novel while sitting in the waiting room in the dentist office.
Oh my gosh, this is tough. I'm gonna say Dr. Chu is a lie. Is it?
No, that is correct. His last name was CHU, Dr. Chu. The lie is that I read my first romance novel while sitting in the waiting room in the dentist office. I have never had a cavity, and that's true.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you got me with that one. I have never had a cavity. My favorite trope is Virgin Hero, and I floss every day.
You look like you were searching for something for the last one, and usually that means that that's the lie. But then yet you must floss. Although, sometimes doctors, like anyone in the medical field, sometimes they don't have the best habits. Like I've seen, doctors smoking outside.
Yeah.
So, and although you said the Virgin Hero pretty quickly, I don't believe you've ever had a cavity because you said that very matter-of-factly. The lie is, you said you floss every day. That's the lie. You don't floss every day.
You caught me. That is the lie. Okay. And I need to come to my defense. I'm like mortified to admit it. Sometimes I forget. And so and honestly, it's probably every other day that I forget. And I'm always like, I'm the worst dentist in the world. I don't floss every day. But you know what? This is my truth. And I'm living fully in it.
It has been such a pleasure to chat with you, Mazey. Thank you so much for joining me here on Reader Seeks Romance.
Thank you so much for having me. You are just a bundle of joy, and I really love this. So thank you so much.